I don't believe what I just saw.
This is one of the great moments in the history of baseball.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
Is this the dagger?
March 15th, on this day in sports. On today's episode, March Madness Madness. The Russians set some records and make some married men jealous. An LPGA legend's quietly incredible story. A Hall of Famer tries playing for the enemy, briefly. A would-be future NBA legend is taken away way too soon. NHL brothers who got the short end of the genetic stick. An NFL team moves so that they can lose in a different city. And a Montreal legend who was born in California and didn't even remotely play hockey. Plus, Mike's least favorite player from his least favorite team. The Cowboys draft a player from the wrong sport, and a Hall of Famer that pisses everybody off. How can you not stay tuned for a lineup like that?
Wow.
That was a lot of stuff.
A wide berth of things, I was
know.
thinking. So you're trying to capture a wide audience.
We're not, and the hilarious part is we're only going to actually talk about two of those things.
Right.
We're going to be like, wait, he said that. None of that. We don't have any of that.
Wow, that's a lot of disappointed people, I suppose. Yeah.
Dozens.
Yeah.
So now that I've done
Yes.
that fantastic intro, our first topic for the day, March 15th, Sandy Jobin.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael Shara. Shara, of course, in Ukrainian, I believe, is fancy pants.
What?
I mean, it's fancy.
I think it's just fancy.
Oh, it's fancy
I
pants.
think Sharavada is fancy pants, which is what my grandfather's name was.
Okay,
But when he came to Canada, he shortened it just to Shara. So I think
fancy.
I believe. No, I'm not.
He lost the
but
pants?
He lost the pants. Yeah, I think
Fancy.
Shara is just fancy.
Fancy pants.
Because Shara
Not
is a
fancy.
prefix for other Russian, like Maria Sharapova. There are,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Oh,
So-
okay.
Oh, okay.
Fancy,
Yeah.
So I think what I'm thinking is that the Vara is the
Yeah.
pants.
Yeah. The Vara is the pants.
The Vara
and
is the pants,
Shara-
which
okay.
was the original title of this
Fancy.
podcast.
Yeah,
actually. The Vara is the pants.
A podcaster loses his pants.
Fancy Mike Shara, thank you so much. And do you prefer Shara or Shara? What we just met?
Shawarma's fine.
We just met. Shawarma it is. 1975, March 15th, 1975. After 14 seasons with the arch-rival Giants, 37-year-old pitcher Juan Marichal, or Marichal to some, but most say Marichal, signed a free agent contract with the Dodgers. The future Hall of Famer made just 2 starts for LA, allowing 9 earned runs in 6 innings, and they retired in mid-April. You ever get a chance to go down there and see the Giants in whatever the hell they call that park now? Friendly Family Park, whatever the hell they're calling these parks these days.
Corporate Bio Park.
Corporate Bio Park. The whatever the hell they're calling it, Huggies.
Yeah. Some form of crypto.
Anyway, if you ever get a chance down there, the statue of Juan is fantastic with the high leg kick. An unbelievable statue. It's so great.
Yeah, it's a work of art, that wind up.
Great park, whatever the hell they call
Oh,
it.
I feel a statue draft coming on.
Oh, I like that a lot. Mark it down.
But not this. But not this.
Not this one. No, because you got to prep.
Yeah.
Got
Gotta
weeks of prep on
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
Prep the statue.
You have
We
to
gotta
actually
visit
go to
them
each
all.
statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to tell you this. Warren Marichal, of course, Juan was involved in what they call one of the greatest pitching games of all time against Warren Spahn in July of 1963, in which Juan pitched 16 innings. Spahn didn't get there all the way because, of course, Willie Mays ended that game in the 16th inning with a walk-off.
Wow.
Which is one of the legendary games. But Juan pitched 16 innings. I'm curious, guys. This might be a thing only I care about. So the average pitch count these days is what? Are we guessing?
If they
80.
get to 100, it's, yeah.
Used to be 100. What are we up? About 80 now?
Yeah, 100, 125 in the back not that long ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. 100 is a miracle. Juan pitched. Anyone want to guess how many pitches he threw that game? 16 innings?
Like, I can see it, but
227 pitches.
Ooh.
yikes.
Yeah. And that game was 1-0 final.
And no, and I'm assuming because he pitched 12 more years in the major leagues, like, no, he had to.
No, he was back out there.
Yeah, he was
probably
back in there 4 days later, probably
for
throwing
sure.
another 125 pitches,
Yep.
right?
I imagine you have to.
Someday they'll have to figure that out.
Yep.
Anyway,
next?
All right. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive in here. I'm going to go all the way back to 1967, March 15th, 1967. Follow me on this one. So with the 11th pick, 285th overall in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys selected University of Kentucky star Pat Riley as a wide receiver, even though Riley had never played a down of college football. Wow. Riley's brother Lee did play in the NFL as a defensive back for 9 seasons. Pat Riley, of course, played 9 NBA seasons before becoming one of the most decorated coaches and executives in league history. Weird. Also in that draft, the same 1967 NFL draft, Bob Greasy, Floyd Little, Alan Page, Gene Upshaw. And the number 1 pick that year was...
Juan Marichal.
It was Michigan State...
Tom Brady.
Bubba Smith. To the
Oh,
Baltimore
right.
Colts.
Of the police academy. No.
The first 6.
That's right,
He was Moses Hightower in the first 6
Thank you.
Police Academy movies.
Yeah, that's right.
And do you remember the television show Blue Thunder?
Of course, yeah.
There you go. The
Oh,
police
right.
helicopter.
Yeah.
Of course. Blue Thunder and Airwolf around the same time.
Yeah, a lot of
battling
helicopters.
helicopter show.
That's right.
Helicopters were big in the
Good times.
80s.
Yeah, so he went number 1 that draft. But what do you think? Drafting Pat Riley in the
Well,
NFL?
I think they were just drafting athletes at that
Yeah,
point, right?
I would say
it's
so.
like Dave Winfield getting drafted by the ABA and the NBA, and
Yep.
they had athletes. They were gonna,
Yep.
they figure we'll give him a shot.
Yeah, probably would have. He probably would have been okay.
Yeah, sure.
It does sometimes
pretty
work,
good.
just
Yeah.
drafting an athlete. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, look at these guys. Like Kenny Lofton plays basketball
Yep.
in Arizona, and then he's kind of hacking around with baseball, and then there he goes.
Yeah.
He's borderline Hall of Famer.
I think back then too, guys specialized less too, right? So it was more conceivable that he could have switched sports. Whereas
Yeah.
now a kid, if he decides he's going to play baseball, he plays baseball from the time he's 11 years
Yeah.
old, and that's all
There's
he
no
does.
off season.
There's no off
Yeah.
season. There's no he plays 4 sports. He's pretty focused on one thing now,
Yep.
so it's less likely. I think.
I feel
now.
like you get the most crossover in like baseball and football. Like
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you got, there's not many like Scott Burrell is one of the few guys that got drafted in baseball and basketball,
Yeah.
which is a really wild one.
Yeah.
That you don't see that a lot. You're right. Football and baseball.
Well,
seems
Tom
to-
Glavine, drafted by the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Danny Ainge,
Danny Ainge,
Yeah.
baseball,
to
basketball.
basketball.
Yeah.
But it's very rare.
Very rare. Speaking of basketball, in 1958, 3 days after being knocked unconscious during a game, 24-year-old Cincinnati Royals forward Maurice Stokes became seriously ill during a post-game team flight. He had 12 points in 15 games in that night's game, but then suffered a series of seizures on the plane, which eventually left him permanently paralyzed. He was subsequently diagnosed as having post-traumatic encephalopathy. Encephalopathy, yes, sorry.
impressive.
A brain injury that had damaged his central nervous system. He was cared for from that point on by his teammate and friend Jack Twyman, who became his legal guardian. Stokes' health continued to decline over the next decade, and he died at the age of 36. Now, we discuss what-ifs from time to time on this show, and Maurice Stokes is a gigantic what-if that a lot of people don't know about. He was an all-star in each of his first 3 NBA seasons. He only played 3 years before this injury happened. He was Rookie of the Year in 56. In his first 3 seasons, he had more rebounds than any other player, and the second most assists, which is also a combo you don't see very much. And he and Wilt Chamberlain are the only players ever to finish second in rebounds and third in assists in the same season.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what kind of player Maurice Stokes was. And he remains one of only 8 players ever to have a triple-double in 4 straight games. And I don't think anybody even knows who Maurice Stokes
no
is.
way.
Like
No way.
sports guys don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And he is, to me, one of the great NBA what-ifs, maybe the big one. It's a tragic story, obviously, and I'm not trying to make light of that, but it's just really interesting to kind of look back and imagine what he could have been, because he really could have been a sort of pantheon kind of player.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well,
next.
Speaking of Pantheon players, Bobby Orr.
Oh.
1970, March 15th, 1970. Bobby Orr had 2 goals and 2 assists in a 5-5 tie with Detroit, the Boston Garden, to become the first defenseman in NHL history to reach 100 points in a season. At the time, he was just the 4th player ever to reach the milestone. Esposito, Howe, and Bobby Hull were the first 3. Wow. So he's the first defenseman to do that. He also became the first player with 100 points and 100 penalty minutes in the same season that year. He finished the season with 120 points, becoming the first and only defenseman ever to win an NHL scoring title.
I hear he was pretty good.
Yeah, unbelievable. The plus-minus records, all those things. His record season, all-time, and this is the all-time single season anyone knows, 139 points in a season. He had 139 points, 70-71, the next season, I guess.
Wow.
And the last person to have over 100 is a defenseman. Last NHL defenseman to have over 100, Hall of Famer, Brian Leetch.
Wow.
Leach had 102 in 91-92.
Wow.
Which was when we had Matthew Schneider on the show, he was saying that was the era where you judged defensemen differently. That's
Yeah,
a hell of a lot of points.
Yeah.
And that's the era of a hell of a lot of points for the 90s.
Yeah,
NHL
there was guys,
defensemen.
yeah.
Yep.
Now, I'm not trying to diminish anything that Bobby Orr did, because I think we all know he's sort of on the Mount Rushmore of hockey players, but I wonder if that 139 points, like he set those records during the NHL's first wave of adding 6 new teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those first couple of years there. So you wonder, obviously the competition was probably a little diminished from what it had been just a couple of years earlier, right? If there's 6 full teams of new guys playing in the league, I'm sure he was making hay against the California Golden Seals. And
I'm sure he was.
I'm not diminishing anything. 139 points is absurd.
Yeah.
And Bobby Orr is clearly one of the greats of all time. It's just struck me that
I diminish it a little.
Yeah.
A little.
yeah, like
Is what you're doing.
I don't think it's a coincidence, is all I'm saying. But
Yeah.
it doesn't diminish what he's doing or what he did at all.
No, absolutely not.
No. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about March 15th, 1988. Let me take you back there. After 28 seasons in St. Louis, where they won just 2 division titles, the NFL's Cardinals franchise, they received enough NFL owner votes to approve their move to Arizona, where they would be known as the Phoenix Cardinals. They changed their name to the Arizona Cardinals 7 years later, maybe because they never actually played a game in Phoenix proper. They played in Tempe and then Glendale. Of course, the good news is that in 1995, St. Louis returned to the NFL with the Rams until 2016. That's got to hurt. You know, St. Louis has had 4 NFL teams in all. The All-Stars in
They were my
1923, the Gunners in 1937, the Cardinals from 60 to 1987, and the Rams, of course, from 95 to 2015.
And now they have none.
It's so sad when a team moves.
Yeah.
I really don't. But here's something. Before they were in St. Louis, the Cardinals, do you know what city the Cardinals were in?
Chicago.
Chicago, correct.
Yeah. Didn't they play at Wrigley Field?
They might have. Yeah,
They
they,
might
probably
have.
did.
I think they might have.
There was
yeah.
no Soldier Field for a while.
Because it's like
They were there for 40 years in Chicago.
yeah, and they had good years in Chicago. I
did.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
they did because I remember. I think I'm in the right era, but it's going back quite a bit with the Chicago Cardinals, I believe. Right? Was the initial year?
Well, let me see. They moved to St. Louis in 1960, and they were in Chicago for 40 years before
because
that,
I remember
so-
during the height of like Capone and the gangsters in Chicago, there's a lot of talk of when they used to go to the
Cardinals games.
Cardinals games at Wrigley Field.
Oh, well,
That was
yeah.
a big thing because Capone. There's a lot of photos of Capone watching games, like
yeah?
watching baseball games, but also those football games in the big
wow.
big fur coat with his kid. You know, yeah. What a guy!
so-
Having a hot
yeah,
dog.
yeah,
yeah, sure. A hot dog. Many.
But yeah, so yeah, this is the day when they voted to move.
And
a
wow.
sad day.
Yeah.
Nothing but a triumph in Phoenix ever since.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They not two. Cardinals have only won 2 championships in the NFL, and one was disputed.
And the Arizona made 1 Super Bowl. They didn't win, but they made it to
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. I shouldn't say disputed. It was the 1925 championship.
So that's it. The Diamondbacks are the only team to win a championship with a Major 4 in Phoenix.
In Arizona, yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Crazy.
And they won. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And
the
they won
Suns
in a
still haven't.
comeback
They've been around like
comeback,
50
yeah.
years almost. And
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, go Phoenix.
Go Coyotes. Here we go.
Here we go. Come on, pick it up a little, guys. In 1953, here's another story I didn't know. Patty Berg won her 5th LPGA title holders championship at the Augusta Country Club, which is not the Augusta National Golf Club, which is next door. She won this tournament 6 times in her career between 37 and 57. So that's a 20-year span she was winning that tournament in. Berg is a name largely lost to history, though in her career she won 15 majors, which remains the LPGA record. I don't think anybody would have guessed that. She was named Female of the Year by the Associated Press 3 different times. And many of the tournaments that were considered majors aren't anymore, including the one I'm just talking about. But nevertheless, her dominance for over a decade should not be forgotten. Especially, this is amazing, she was involved in a head-on car accident in late 1941 that absolutely shattered her knee. She rehabbed, recovered, and enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1942, where she was made a 2nd lieutenant. She served in the Marine Reserves from 42 to 45, and after the war, she returned to full-time golf and won the inaugural U.S. Women's Open in 1946 and won 12 of the 15 majors she won after the war and after her knee injury. She won her final major championship at the 1959 LPGA Championship at age 41. Now, I would not have said I even knew who Patty Berg was. Now, I don't watch a lot of golf, but that woman people should know that name a little more, because that's an amazing story. Good for you, Patty. By the way, the reason they were playing at the Augusta Country Club, not the Augusta National Golf Club next door, women weren't allowed at the time. Yay, Georgia.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
most of the time in discrimination, Georgia got it right, which is
It's so weird that they missed that one. I know.
just a shame. Real shame.
Yeah, usually they're right on the nose.
I think I misheard you. I thought to clarify, she was named Female Athlete of the Year. I thought you said Female of the Year.
No, female athlete.
Female.
of the
Okay.
year.
But I mean, she could have been woman.
She
of the
could have
year.
been. I wonder. Do you think there was a lot of mix-up? People going to the wrong Augusta Country Club? Probably.
Oh, I doubt it.
So-
I think they all probably knew exactly what the rule
Just
was.
to be clear, if Matt had a DeLorean that would take him back in time, he would only want to know if there was a mix-up of people going to the wrong club. So,
Yeah.
and then once he got that right, back in the car,
You'd be able to tell, yeah.
It was
guys
just
mixing
the
this
way
up?
the way
Not
Mike
really.
said it. He was
Bye.
like when Mike when you're telling the story, painting the picture for us, you were saying like not the Augusta National Golf Club next door, and I was just picturing an employee,
Okay.
who has to sit and just like
Yeah.
sort this out.
and if you could have dinner with anyone from history, it would be that employee.
I mean, the hungriest. I would just find the hungriest person and take them out. Maybe Al Capone and a hot dog.
This is 1977, March 15th, 1977. Pittsburgh traded 23-year-old outfielder Tony Armas and 24-year-old pitcher Rick Langford to Oakland in exchange for Phil Scrap Iron Garner. Phil Garner, we all know, great manager. And Chris Batten. I'm going to say Batten. This proved to be a pretty costly mistake as Armas became a two-time AL home run champ, and Langford won 78 games for the A's over the next 10 years, leading the AL in complete games twice. Pretty lopsided trade there for Pittsburgh. Not a great move. I always think about Armas,
Which again is weird because Pittsburgh usually gets those right.
always
all the
get
time.
it right.
Oh, wait.
But an interesting thing I always think about Armas is that you kind of forget in '86 with the Red Sox, Tony Armas was their center fielder and got injured right in August, I believe it was, towards the pennant run. So they go out and get Henderson. They go and get Dave Henderson and Spike Owen from the Mariners that propel them through the '86 pennant race and into the World Series. And almost, of course, win the World Series against the Mets. Yeah. And Henderson was key to that team. And I always wonder what that team would have been in an alternate history.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's important to find the right golf course, but I'm thinking another alternate history could be.
Wait, you're getting a DeLorean?
What would have happened? And also, Spike Owen was pretty damn good in that playoff too.
Yeah.
What else? Would they maybe just lost to the Angels and that they wouldn't even made that World Series because Henderson was key in that game.
Hit that home run
yes,
off Donnie Moore. That's the TSN turning point for sure of that.
So fascinating alternate history. But you forget Armas was their guy and was a devastating injury for them, and then they still kind of got better after that.
Yeah, Dave Henderson's not a bad acquisition. Yeah,
nope, not at all. That is it for 77.
Well, let's jump on over to 2004 when Toronto's Alexander Mogilny has, I know it sounds weird to say Toronto's Alexander Mogilny, but yeah, he played there. Toronto's Alexander Mogilny had 3 assists in the Leafs' 6-5 overtime win over Buffalo to become the second Russian player to reach 1,000 NHL career points. The first, of course, being, if anyone wants to guess,
Wayne Gretzky.
Sergei Fedorov.
Oh,
he became the first Russian to do it earlier that season while playing for the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
Yeah.
Famous Mighty Duck, Sergei Fedorov.
Yeah.
It's weird that where they did it, eh?
Yeah. Legendary Columbus Blue Jackets, Sergei Fedorov.
I had forgotten that Mogilny was the first player from the Soviet Union to defect in order to play NHL.
Because when I was a kid, I remember the Toronto Sun had this picture of him like in his leather jacket going like I think the headline was something like, he ain't going home or something like that. Like he was staying. Yeah.
I always find it crazy that the year Mogilny scored 76 is the same year Solani scored 76.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And both of those guys never approached seven. Like, you know what I mean? It was obviously you don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
But they both, like, they tied for the league leading goals. You score 76 goals and you don't even win the goal title outright.
Yeah.
Like, that's bananas.
It is. It was also tough. Like, I was so wanted Solani to win it that year. But
Sure, but
course.
that era of just goal scoring was insane.
Yes, clearly.
Yeah. Oh, well, that in the 76 goal season, he had 3 hat tricks in 4 games, in one span.
This is Mogilny?
Yeah, Mogilny. Over 4 games, he had 3 hat
And that's when he's
tricks.
with the Sabres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he, I do believe that 20 seconds into his first NHL shift, he scored a goal.
Jeez.
Wow. Yeah.
But here's another weird thing. Do you remember that he broke, I don't know if he's broke his leg or he had injuries in 2 playoffs in a row.
I didn't know that. No.
91, 92, 92, 93.
Like serious ones, you mean?
Yeah.
No. Wow.
That's
Anyway, he became the second Russian player to reach 1,000 NHL career points. Also very fast in Sega 93 hockey.
Oh man, Sega 93. Now I remember, so he had Andreychuk on his line.
LaFontaine, right?
There was Andreychuk, LaFontaine, and Andreychuk. Grant Fuhrer was in that.
And I feel like, I don't know who is...
Legendary Sabre Grant Fuhrer, by the way.
But wouldn't you want to... Wait, is this 93? Wouldn't you want to put Bob, Ray, and May in to start some scraps?
Anytime you played Sega 93 and you did line changes and you had the Sabres, you were dead.
Yeah, you were getting penalties.
And Howard Chuck was on that Sabres.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, it was Howard Chuck,
after the
Mogilny, and Andreychuk, or LaFontaine, all those guys. But all those grinder lines that came out were horrible.
Yeah, and you'd get penalties for them.
Oh, yeah. Boo! Yeah. Grant Fuhrer. Yep. Grant Fuhrer in that team. Hashik and Fuhrer, I believe, were the...
Right. Okay.
Sorry, audience falls asleep.
I have no segue.
Wake up, everybody. You have more show. There's still more show.
We're going to keep plugging
Have
along.
we done the things that you said at the beginning? Have we ticked any of them off?
All of them.
Did we talk about your least favorite player yet?
No,
Oh,
we're
I'm
getting
gonna-
there. That's in birthdays.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm getting excited.
2001, number 15 seed Hampton University upset number 2 Iowa State in the first round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. It was just the 4th time in tournament history a 15 seed had advanced and beaten a 2. Hampton was crushed 2 days later by Georgetown, so it's not that great a Cinderella story. However, in tournament history, it has now happened 10 times, and only 3 times has a 15 seed made it to the Sweet 16, and last year was the first time that a 15 seed ever made it to the Elite 8 when the St. Peter's Peacocks made everyone fall in love with them, upsetting number 2 Kentucky in overtime in the first round, then beating number 7 Murray State and number 3 Purdue before Cinderella's clock finally ran out against North Carolina. Huge programs like Syracuse, Duke, Arizona, Michigan State, Ohio State, Kentucky, and Georgetown have all been the victims of 15-2 upsets in the past. And the lowest seed to win the tournament is number 8 Villanova in 1985, and the lowest seed to make the Final Four is number 11, which is George Mason, LSU in 86. VCU, remember, did that. Loyola Chicago and UCLA. St. Peter's is the lowest seed ever to have made it to the Elite 8. Wow. And there you go. I just like March Madness is about to start.
So we're right there in March Madness.
Yeah,
it's
it's always exciting.
Always. You never know. You have to play the games. Matt, you got anything else there? You want to jump to quick hits?
I'm ready to jump to quick hits.
Let's do it.
Quick hits.
Is that me?
Yeah. you took us there.
Oh, shit. I thought I was setting you up. Quick hits. 1978, the A's traded 28-year-old former AL Cy Young winner and MVP Vita Blue to San Francisco for 7 players and $300,000 cash. It is believed to be the most players ever traded for one guy in MLB history. Blue's relationship with Oakland owner Charlie Finley could be said to have been a little bit rocky. Blue is quoted as saying, "I hope the next breath he takes is his last. I hope he falls flat on his face and dies of polio."
Ooh.
So I'm going to say he didn't enjoy
It's so specific.
Charlie Finley. In the 78 season, Blue went, if you fall on your face, you will die of polio.
Yeah.
In 78 season, Blue went 18-10 with a 2.79 ERA for the Giants. Man, he hated Charlie Finley.
Yeah.
Charlie Finley, few liked him.
This is about the time he started selling off all his
guy.
players for cash, and after they won all those World Series,
Yeah, not a popular guy.
Not a popular guy.
Quick hits.
Yes,
Quick
sir.
hits.
Quick hits.
That's a good quick
1985.
hit.
Fences. A new play by August Wilson began previews on Broadway with James Earl Jones. Oh, that's as low as I go. In the leading role.
Jones.
There we go. Thank you, Sandy. James Earl Jones in the leading role of Troy, a former Negro Leagues baseball player who is now a garbage collector in Pittsburgh. It won 4 Tony Awards that year, including Best Play, Best Actor, and Best Director. And after Broadway revival in 2010, starring Denzel Washington and Viola Davis, it was made into a film directed by Washington and starring Denzel and Davis again, starring in it in 2016. you remember, I'm sure, receiving many more awards, including 4 Academy Award nominations and a win for Viola Davis for Best Supporting Actress.
And I have seen that play live, and it is that part that James Earl Jones and Denzel played. It's like a King Lear kind of size.
Yeah.
Like it is.
We've only ever seen the movie. And she's awesome
it's a giant undertaking to witness live. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
1991, the KC Royals released outfielder Bo Jackson. Jackson had hit 28 home runs and stolen 15 bases in just 111 games the previous year at age 27, but during an NFL game a few months earlier, he severely injured his hip. We all know about the hip injury, and Royals team doctors were convinced he wouldn't be able to play baseball again this year or ever again. He was paid nearly $400,000 in termination money and then signed a free agent deal with the White Sox a few weeks later. He didn't play much in 91 and missed all of 92, but in 93, if you remember, he was a key part of that White Sox team that went to the playoffs against the Jays, and he retired a year after that at age 31, having spent a season with the Angels. So just another, story of what could have been with Bo Jackson.
Still getting paid by Nike. He's still a Nike ambassador.
Is that right?
Yeah, they still pay him.
Good for him.
Yep, he's still there. And he's still, because every time you see Bo Jackson still, you'll be wearing a Nike golf shirt or whatever.
Oh, yeah?
He's still paid by Nike.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for everybody.
Yeah.
Bono's sponsorship.
Bono's sponsorship. Quick hit.
Quick hits.
Well, this is going to be a quick hit.
Oh.
In 1869, Mike, you remember that?
Of
the
course.
first year he did Stratford.
Yeah.
With 10 salaried players, the Cincinnati Redlegs became the first professional baseball team in history. While there was no league to play in, the American Association didn't start until 1882, the Redlegs would barnstorm around the Northeast playing exhibition games against local teams. The Reds are the oldest team in Major League Baseball, which is why they used to always get the first game of the season.
Remember that? The Reds used to always, like, on opening day, it was like they always played at like noon in Cincinnati.
Yep.
There'd be other games at like 3 or even 1.
Yep.
The Reds always had first game of the year.
They did. And that's when that ump died.
John McSherry.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was that first game
on
of the
opening
year.
day.
Fuck,
He had a heart attack.
Season.
That was terrible.
I just wow, yeah.
The year's going great.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah,
few
good
innings.
times.
Wow.
Quick hits.
Yes, sir.
Are we still quick hitting?
Let's
or
do one more.
Okay,
Let's do one more.
All right.
Let's do one more. Let's go, Matt. Quick hit. Let's go, Matt. Quick hit. Let's go.
2009. Detroit defeated Columbus 4-0. This is NHL. Detroit. Speed it up. Detroit. They defeated Columbus 4-0 to become the first NHL team to ever reach 100 regular season points in 9 consecutive years. So they eclipsed the Montreal Canadiens record of 8 straight from 74-75 to 81-82 season. So the Red Wings lost the Stanley Cup final to Pittsburgh in 7 games that year, but extended their 100 regular season point streak for 3 more years before it finally ended in the 2012-2013 season, when they just missed it with 56 points in a shortened 48-game season.
Wow.
Still pretty good.
Still pretty good. We're done with quick hits now. We're going to go to birthdays.
Let's go to birthdays. Actually, let's go to deaths, because birthdays then would bring
start
it
with
back.
deaths.
Let's bring it back
Okay.
up.
All
right,
Let's
yeah.
go down and then bring
The
it back.
natural cycle. You die,
fair.
then you
Then you
reborn.
come
Okay,
back, reborn.
deaths in 2012. Very sad day. Longtime Expos and Mets catcher Gary Carter died at just age 57 from a brain tumor. It sounds weird to say this, but there was a time, I remember when we were kids, that Gary Carter was the most popular athlete in Montreal. The Canadiens the dynasty had kind of stopped by that point. They didn't win again until 86. And the Expos in the early 80s, like 81, 82, 83, Blue Monday, those years, Gary Carter was the star of that team. And he was the most popular. He might have been the most popular athlete in Canada at the time. He was he was everywhere, and he was the face of the Expos, and like some of his teammates didn't like him, I know, because they felt he was too eager to be on camera and all that stuff. Yeah. But everybody loved Gary Carter at that time.
Yeah.
And he was a singularly great catcher. Like, he's not quite Johnny Bench and Yogi.
Yeah.
But he is in the next tier of all-time catchers.
Oh, absolutely.
And he had his peak in Montreal during those years.
Well, if you ever get a chance to, maybe it's on YouTube.
And he had a great perm.
Yes, he had a great perm. But that was the whole thing that drove people crazy in the Mets, because he was just always wanted to be in every ad. He was the face. He was constantly everywhere. Well, if you ever go on Johnny Bench and the Baseball Bunch, great Saturday viewing when you were a kid in the 70s and 80s. Johnny Bench has got an episode where he's teaching kids about the rundown, getting them in the pickle, the rundown. So his guest is Gary Carter, And Gary Carter and Johnny Bench are teaching a kid that's running between third and home how to get out of a rundown. And the entire time, Gary Carter goes, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Oh, keep going. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
Oh.
And it just gets so creepy so fast, but you can't stop watching it over and over again. Going to get you. Going to get you. Going to get you. So if you want to get creeped out,
we'll include that link
Gary
on our
Carter.
YouTube,
Please.
on our Instagram.
Please do. Please do.
Oh
I believe. Is this my
It
death?
is. Yeah, your quick
Not
death. Quick death.
Quick death. 1984, a longtime MLB commissioner from 69 to his death in 84. Bowie Kuhn, at the age of 80, dies of pneumonia. Interesting commissioner, of course. A lot of things happened in the 70s with labor disputes and things like that. But there's one thing that he should be remembered for was that he was really encouraging the Baseball Hall of Fame to recognize the Negro Leagues. They were not really ready to do it. So he basically said, let's do a thing where everyone just votes on who is the greatest Negro Leaguers of all time. So that became like the first big tribute, and people realizing who these players were. And he did that while he was commissioner of baseball.
Oh, good for him.
Yep. And then he died.
Oh.
I don't know how else to put it.
Those events are not
It's
connected. They're not connected.
It's been enough time, 84.
Yeah.
Well, in 1995, open water swimming legend Florence Chadwick died. So you may not know who
She did not drown.
She did
Thank
not
you.
drown. No,
Thank
she
you.
died.
Just
She
to be
actually
clear.
she died of leukemia, unfortunately.
yeah.
But I don't know if you know Florence Chadwick. She's a San Diego native, and she swam the English Channel in 1950, breaking the record held by her idol Gertrude Ederle, who was the first female to swim it.
That's my favorite. She's my favorite swimmer.
She's your favorite?
She's my favorite
Favorite long distance-
open
Okay.
water swimmer, though.
Oh, yeah. To be clear.
She built, so Florence Chadwick broke the record by more than an hour. She did it in 13 hours and 20 minutes. But what I find incredible about her as well is later, in 1952, she tried to swim between Catalina Island and the California coast, the 26 miles between it.
Yeah.
Flanked by people in boats with guns to shoot away sharks.
Whoa.
Oh.
That's incredible. Her first attempt, fog came in about 15 hours in, and she had to give up a mile offshore.
Oh.
But 3 months later, she tried again, and she made it. Wow. That's incredible. From Catalina Island to the shore, California coast, with people in boats to shoot away sharks.
Yep.
Jeez.
She was also a 10-time winner of the annual ocean race at La Jolla.
Yeah.
Not super familiar with that, but
No.
it sounds incredibly hard.
That's what I like about doing this show is we always kind of find names of people that people should know better.
Yeah.
And stories that people
Sure.
should know better. That's kind of cool. That's another one too.
15 hours into a swim, and you got to turn around and
Yeah, and they're saying it's probably because she couldn't see the coast.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't know how close she was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
I
Florence
mean,
Chadwick.
not the best segue, but if you ever get a chance to check out, maybe on YouTube, Three's Company episode where Jack takes the pills because he's scared of flying to Catalina Island. These takes these to relax him, and when he wakes up at Catalina Island, comedy ensues. In my opinion, the best Three's Company episode of all time when Jack
And
goes
also,
to Catalina Island.
one of his roommates, Florence Chadwick.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
She
much.
was so prolific.
Let's get into some births.
Okay, birthdays.
Let's birth some things.
1967, hockey executive and scout Keith Gretzky
Thank you.
was born in Brantford, Ontario. Now, it got me thinking about Keith Gretzky, who did not play in the NHL, but there are a lot of brothers who of famous NHL players who played in the NHL, a lot of whom I didn't even know about. For example, did you know about Fedor Fedorov, who played 18 career NHL games and had 2 assists in his career? Brother of Sergei, obviously.
Maybe did he play on the Manitoba Moose? Maybe
I don't have any idea. There's Steve Correa. I'm not making this up. Who had 9 goals and 18 assists in 65 career NHL games. We have Alain Lemieux, Mario's brother. That's hard.
Yeah.
Alain Lemieux had 28 goals and 44 assists in 119 career games. But your Mario Lemieux's like
That's tough.
that's tough, man.
Yeah.
You made the NHL. Like that's incredible.
Those aren't terrible.
No,
numbers.
like it's you played in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like Stéphane Roy, Patrick Roy's brother. He had 1 goal in 12 NHL games. He was a centerman. Like Rocky Trottier,
Wow.
who had 6 goals and 4 assists
Nope.
in 38 career games. Like these poor guys, right? Like that's not easy. Paul Messier played 9
I knew
NHL
there was
games.
a Paul Messier.
Yeah. He did not record a point in his 9 games.
Yeah.
That's it's tough. Hats off to Keith Gretzky. His brother, of course, Brent, played a few games in the NHL with Tampa Bay, but hats off to Keith for making it in hockey and becoming an executive and a scout. I'm sure his name didn't hurt, but he still made a go of it, despite obviously not having the genetic gifts that his brother did.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, that's a tall shadow.
It's a tall shadow indeed.
I wanted to look up just quickly because I wanted just to say hey, let's see what Paul Messier is up to. You guys want to know?
Yeah.
He currently manages one of Mark Messier's investments, which is a small hotel in Harbor Island, Bahamas.
Good for him.
Vacation show.
I guess there it is.
Well done.
Okay, friends.
Another birthday?
Birth. Let's go. Kevin Youkilis, 1979. Kevin Youkilis was born in 79. 3-time All-Star, Gold Glover, 2-time World Series winner. Of course, he was known as the Greek god of walks. He was immortalized in Moneyball with that nickname. A very weird batting stance as well. Solid player, a gritty player, I guess you'd want to call him. Great years with the Red Sox.
Glue guy.
A glue, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
And Greek god of walks was his nickname. And he didn't really like that nickname, but he said it was better than being called the Greek god of illegitimate children.
Oh.
Because he could have had a worse nickname. And you'll see, if you're watching the World Baseball Classic, Youkilis is the hitting coach for Team Israel.
Oh, is he?
Of course, managed by Ian Kinsler. So it's going to be Kinsler out there managing, and Youkilis is the hitting coach for Team Israel.
All right.
Yeah.
In 1956, someone was born, and it was longtime Browns linebacker Clay Matthews.
Oh, there you go.
Was born in Palo Alto, California. So this is to sort out the Matthews, because they are this NFL family.
Yep.
So Clay Matthews, this is Clay Matthews Jr.,
right,
who played for Cleveland and Atlanta. Not Clay Matthews the third, who played with the Packers and the Rams,
and is now in Tide commercials.
And Clay Matthews Sr. played for the Niners. His sons were Bruce Matthews and Clay Matthews Jr.
Okay.
And among Clay Jr.'s sons are Clay Matthews III and Casey Matthews. And among Bruce Matthews' sons are players Kevin Matthews and Jake Matthews. Wow. And Clay Jr. is older than Bruce. All right, is that clear?
Wow.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's all about family and the birthdays.
I wasn't sure how many of them actually played in the NFL.
No, God, it's so crazy.
Well, but Bruce Matthews was an all-time great offensive lineman, but I don't know about the others.
Clay Matthews is great. I would say check out our Instagram. Mike will have a family tree.
Yeah,
that he'll have drawn himself.
It'll be hand drawn.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
In 1981, a former NBA player who spent most of his career in Utah, Andrei Kirilenko, was born in Russia. His nickname, of course, was AK-47 because of his initials, though ironically, the city of his birth, which is, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Izhevsk.
Close.
Anyway, Izhevsk, Russia, was where the weapon AK-47 was first manufactured, which is a weird coincidence. Wow. In 2006, his marriage to Russian pop star Masha Lapovada drew headlines when it was reported that she allowed him one hall pass with another woman every year. She acknowledged publicly that famous athletes were pursued heavily in America and felt it was counterintuitive to male instincts to constantly refuse those advances. He got a lot of notoriety for that for a little while. I'm sure he was the only guy in the NBA who was, fooling around on his wife at the time, but nevertheless.
Quick update. Still married.
Sure.
They're still married. That's the secret to great marriage.
The old hall pass.
The old hall pass. Yeah. They're still together.
Yeah, great.
Well, I'm going to throw it over to, this is because we talked about this in the headlines before the all started, Matt, and you want to make sure you check all the boxes. Darcy Tucker. Sideshow Bob, longtime NHL winger and perhaps Mike's least favorite NHL player ever. There we go. Born in Castor, Alberta. I have only one personal story about Darcy Tucker. I was at my orthodontist, and I came down the elevator when the doors opened. Tucker was standing there, and he iced me like he was going to kill me. If I said anything, he was going to kill. He looked me right in the face, and he's about half my height. Just stared at me, and he slowly got in that elevator as I got out, like he was going to kill me. And I was like, "What the hell?"
Like he was just gave you kind of like.
Oh, he gave me the total.
Just give me a
dead
reason.
Yeah,
mad dog.
And let's go. Let's do this. I'm like, I have adult braces, Darcy.
Yeah.
I don't want to punch in my mouth right now.
See, we're saying this, but if he wants to come on and be a guest on the show,
However,
we're happy to have you, Darcy.
That'd be great. I mean, Mike won't be here, but it'd be great to
I'll
have
have to sit that one out now.
Just stand outside the window there looking in.
Yeah.
What do we got? Do you guys want to get into something else, or do you want to?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to say. I just want to throw out some names. I feel like we have to say that Bobby Bonds.
Let's do it.
Bobby Bonds was born in 1946.
Yes.
We can't let that one go. And John McEnroe was born in 1959. Just got to throw a couple of those quick
those are great
in there.
Guys, we don't. Yeah.
McEnroe. Yeah. You know what's really weird? I don't know if you've noticed these days on CNN. Patrick McEnroe is like a panelist on these CNN. You seen this in the news?
Yeah.
Why is he there?
Not really sure.
They're talking about world events, and they're not even really going to him. He's just at the table. I'm not even sure why, but Patrick McEnroe now stretching beyond tennis.
Speaking of brothers who didn't get the genetic gifts,
but still going. Still a commentator, good commentator.
Making a go of it.
And as they say, every time they go to play singles, John McEnroe wants to kill him every single time. There's no let up. There's no let up there. I want to talk about one more birthday because we're going to get into a draft pretty soon. I think this is a good segue. In 1959, Hall of Fame outfielder DH Harold Baines was born in Easton, Maryland. Perhaps the most controversial, maybe controversial recent Hall of Famer. 2,866 hits, 384 home runs, 289 career average. 1,299 runs.
Mike's got a little editorial there afterwards.
1,600 RBIs. And as Mike says, who should be in the Hall of Fame? Because if you look at Harold Baines, who does that make you think this is bullshit?
Well, all I think of is that Carlos Delgado fell off the ballot after, 1 year on the ballot. He didn't even get 5% of the vote. And there isn't a statistic in which Carlos Delgado is not an infinitely superior hitter to Harold Baines. And all Harold Baines did for the second half of his career was hit. Like, he didn't even play the field.
Yeah.
And I got nothing against Harold Baines. I just mean that one always frosts me where you compare those two guys just as hitters. Then if you're going to, Delgado played first base. But, that's all.
Well, I mean, there's
I don't want to run down Harold Baines.
No, and there's always the debate about compilers and people who stick around a long time and they make those. But to get those numbers, even towards the end of his career, I think also if you play with that many teams that long and you're that decent a person, you're going to gain a lot of votes, especially when the press is voting.
He got vote. No, see, that's the thing. He didn't get voted in by the writers. He got voted in by a committee afterwards.
Almost, yeah.
And a lot of the guys on the committee the year he were voted in were like ex-White Sox guys.
That'll do it.
So he got kind of voted in by friends and people who liked him. Like, again, I don't have a problem with him being in per se. There are people who got drastically overlooked, immediately overlooked, in fact, that were clearly better hitters than him.
So I'd say that there are some hitters that are better than him, but he's also probably better than 10 to 20 other guys who are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you can find lots of guys.
And your exact argument about those years where these guys were on there, that it's like how come all these Cardinals from the 40s are suddenly getting in? Oh, because the entire makeup of these panels, these guys who they all played for the Cardinals in the 40s.
Yeah, all the Veterans Committee guys. Yeah,
buddies in.
I know. But we can agree that Harold Baines was born on March 15th, 1959.
That's an undeniable fact.
I'm not disputing that.
That's an undeniable fact.
And Carlos Delgado was not.
He was absolutely not.
So, yeah.
Friends, just before we get into our draft, because we're going to segue from Harold Baines, we should talk about our sponsor, of course. Our sponsor is Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply. This is the studio we're in right now. We're in the back area of Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply, cutting some hair when we walked in. It's an active barber shop. We're in the back. Beautiful place. I'm in a giant chair. You're in a big couch. Very comfortable. Smells great in here. Smells fantastic in here. We're proud to welcome Cabin Barber and Gentleman Supply on board as our sponsor. Whether you have difficult cut hair, a challenging beard, or you're just Harold Baines walking by, jump on in because Cabin is the place to be. And it's not just an incredible barbershop. It's also a gentleman's supply shop, meaning you can get everything from personal grooming products to fancy socks.
Oh,
to Cabin's branded apparel that we're all desperately trying to get one of those Cabin sweatshirts. We're weeks in now. We're trying to get this Cabin sweatshirt. Beautiful
Playing the
sweatshirts.
long game. Playing the long game on those sweatshirts.
Louis, who owns the shop, is certainly at some point going to gift us one of those sweatshirts, Matt.
One? And we got to...
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah, one. One of us is going to get it.
We'll cut it into thirds.
And we're going to give it to Darcy Tucker. Yeah. Cabin has 3 locations, including the Port Credit location where we are now. Get a shave, get a cut, get a ton of compliments when you roll out of here with a Cabin Fresh look. For more, check out cabinforlife.ca. And we thank Cabin so much because getting back to Harold Baines, you know,
I was curious how you're going to tie this in.
no way. Just wanted to jump back.
Segue.
Well, what I was going to say
Awkward
is
segue.
Harold Baines, good-looking guy. A lot of good-looking guys came out of cabin, looking good with a nice haircut. The sweatshirts look great. But let's talk about ugliness for a bit. And we're going to talk about the worst uniforms in sports history. And it can be any sport that you want, but we're going to have a draft for these jerseys. But we did say, in these uniforms, but you can only pick one from one sport. So if we have a team with, we'll say 3, we're going to pick 3
we're going to pick 3 each.
Pick 3 each, but you can't pick 2 hockey in your own team. And so we're all going to spread it out. 3 of these jerseys. Now, I believe in this particular draft is my turn to go first.
It is 100% your
So
turn.
we're going to spin into worst uniforms draft here on This Day in Sports.
And by worst, we mean we mean ugliest? We mean just tackiest?
Bad
whatever
in
your
our
criteria.
opinion.
Yeah,
whatever it is
we
fine.
get to choose, right?
Yeah. You can use whatever criteria you like.
And because I just want to make it a perfect segue, worst uniform. Harold Baines, you were a part of this. The White Sox with the shorts. So I'm going to select the White Sox with the shorts to start. And I dug in a little bit about the shorts and in the history of the shorts and why the shorts. And there's a few theories. But there was a team back in the day, a minor league team called the Hollywood Stars. And the Hollywood Stars were I believe in the late 40s into the 50s. I'm not really sure, but they played out in obviously Hollywood, LA. And all the stars would go after, and there was ownership, like Gary Cooper and all these guys owned part of the team.
Because there was no MLB team.
No, they wanted baseball out west, so they had the Hollywood Stars, and like Groucho Marx. We talked about these guys before, right? Groucho Marx, his kid would go and they go to the game. Everyone would go to the games. They wore the shorts. And they wore the shorts there, and they became known as Hollywood shorts. And so some of the old guys, when they Bill Veeck and that was part of it, when the White Sox wore the shorts, immediately were saying, "Hey, they got the Hollywood shorts." So it still carried that nickname into the 70s of the team. But if you're a base stealer and you're sliding you're just ripping your legs up, and the fans loved the shorts originally, the Hollywood shorts. Maybe not so much in Chicago, but the players hated these shorts.
Yes, of course they did.
Horrible idea. I think they're one of the worst uniforms of all time. I'll take the White Sox shorts for my first pick.
It's a great pick. I mean, I don't know that they wore them for many games, but
they wore them for 1 game.
I think they wore them for 4 games.
Well, there was a double header that they wore them for, and then the night game they didn't wear them.
Yeah, they took them off for the night game, and then I think later they played in another series. They wore them for like a day, and then both halves of a double header. I think.
Doesn't matter how long
anyway,
you wore
it was
them
a
for.
bad idea.
Awful.
Somebody was happy about showing off their thighs, but I don't think many players were happy about that.
No.
That's a great pick. I think that's the number one.
And perfectly out of Harold Baines.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
great.
the segue.
Who's
right?
next?
Number 2. Who wants to go? Mike?
Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, so you guys know this uniform all too well. I am going to choose from a different sport, from the NFL. I'm going to choose the original from 1976 till about the late 90s Tampa Bay Buccaneers cream-colored uniforms. I don't think it was any coincidence that Tampa never won anything until they got rid of these uniforms. There's no, I'm a big believer in, you dress the part, you look good, you play good. That was clearly a problem in Tampa Bay for 20 years. That team set a record for ineptitude in a number of ways, and I think the uniforms were the reason. So my first pick is the 70s era Bucks.
Nice. Maddie, we got?
I might get some pushback on this one, but I do not like Cooperalls. This was because, this is personal. I wore Cooperalls when everyone was supposed to wear Cooperalls, and then everyone switched back to pants, and I didn't switch back right away, and I was the only kid left with Cooperalls. I was awkward, so I'm picking the Flyers Cooperalls.
Yeah, Flyers Cooperalls.
I think Hartford pulled it off a bit better for some reason.
Well, the one weird thing for me was when Darryl Sittler played for the Flyers and he wore Cooperalls, because it was all wrong.
Yeah.
All of it was wrong. What team, the pants.
Legendary Flyer.
I mean, I think they were dangerous too. They're nylon, so you'd slide. If you'd go into the boards quicker because you would slide faster, and goalies would complain about not seeing, losing the puck in the black pants of the Flyers. And I just think, is there any other uniform on here that they got outlawed? Like, the league passed a rule to outlaw them.
Yeah,
that's how bad this uniform
if it's dangerous to your body, you shouldn't wear them.
That's
much like shorts sliding into second.
There you go. So I'm picking the Flyers Cooperalls. I believe it was 81, 82, around there, and a bit of the 83, 84. Oh, no, that's when they passed the law. So, yeah, 81, 82.
Speaking of pushback, I might get some here from out west, but I'm going to take the late 70s, early 80s Canucks.
Oh, I had it. I was
the
prepared.
V.
You will get no pushback.
The V jersey.
I like those.
The V jersey?
I love those.
I liked the circle with the skate. And I was at a game 2 weeks ago in Vancouver where they had that uniform on, and I was like, I love that uniform, but not the V.
I like the V.
The V is
V's terrible.
For all you out there who like the V, you're with
I think
me.
they should have gone whole hog and made it actually a V-neck shirt too. Then I would have been on board. Had a V-neck cut to it,
Yeah, with collar.
Yeah, with collar.
But that's a terrible uniform.
It's an awful
You
uniform.
wore it a long time. That's not a 4-gamer, Matty. That's
I know, but if you like it, you just
I guess so.
I
I did like the one after though. I like the circle one. That was kind of like the next generation.
okay.
Okay, so speaking of getting a lot of flack for this, I think I probably will. I am going to pick the expansion 1995-96 Toronto Raptors uniform.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I had it on my list.
Yep, it was on mine too. You just got there first.
It is true. It was, and we knew it then. We were cheering for the Raptors. We were glad we had a team that and looking at it now, you're like, that's embarrassing. Like that doesn't even look like that. Looks like from the N1 tournament. It's bad. Purple with the pinstripes that are sort of jagged and the dinosaur logo dribbling the ball in that weird. It's awful. The team was awful, but it would have been better if they'd have had cool
the
uniforms.
name was questionable enough.
Yeah, my dad said, interesting, I hated Raptors when they picked it too because I thought it was Jurassic Park and that. But my dad said that when they picked Blue Jays, everybody hated it too.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of got used to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yeah.
and it's true, you do get used to it and you
Sure.
don't even care.
Yeah.
But the uniforms, I have not gotten used to those. They're just god awful.
That's a fair definitely a fair pick. Totally a fair pick.
Kevin.
All right, so with this, you may have to go get your computer out and Google this, but I'm talking about the Norwegian curling team's pants.
No, everybody knows that. They won't have to Google it.
Yeah.
Everyone
Norwegian.
knows that one.
I might want to
Norwegian
skip it.
curling team's pants. There are a few different ones. I'm specifically looking at a swirly kind of red and white and they're just, Sandy, are you seeing something there? Are you
I'm just I just wrote them in as your
I'm
pick.
just looking at them. Man.
I don't imagine they rock. Let's see here. I'm just gonna throw puns at you guys like an old man.
I mean, I probably could have held that for my last pick. Probably you guys weren't going to
hurried
pick.
hard.
Probably could have held it a couple months. Is this men's and women's or just?
I think it's just the men's.
Okay.
It's quite,
I
they're
could be
pretty
wrong,
great.
but they're
It's coming up pretty quickly here.
yeah. There's a lot of different
yeah,
images
okay.
there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's a number to choose.
They're like
from.
Nordic Zubaz.
Yeah.
Yes, and they embraced them, but I don't know that makes it better.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. No,
I just think that that's an ugly uniform.
that's completely fair.
Okay, Sandy, your
Circling
last
back
one.
to me, my final pick. I'm going to go into basketball because I've got baseball and hockey covered off. Okay, this is a tough one because there's two really bad ones, but I think the one I hated more was the '90s Utah Jazz with the landscape of the mountains and stuff like that. That was a horrible uniform, and Stockton they all look like. It just looked bad.
And
Just
ironically,
bad.
it was like the height of the franchise's
the thing.
success. I know.
Exactly. You're a good team and you have a horrible uniform.
Yeah,
That's
you
just
had your
the
two greatest
worst
players.
timing. Worst timing.
That's how everyone remembers them. Just wearing those awful unis.
Horrible. And after the draft, I'll mention who my other pick was if you guys don't take it because I have to say I had a toss up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was gonna go with an obscure one that you'd have to Google, but I think I'll just stick to this one because I think when I say it, most people know what I'm talking about. I'm going to take you back to 1996, which is almost the same year as the Raptors jersey, and the LA Kings Burger King jersey.
Yep.
I think you all know the one I'm talking about. That where it looks like they have the Burger King logo on the on the one shoulder, and then there's the gray stripe that comes through it. Truly, and then the black trim. It is truly. Do yourselves a favor. Google that one if you don't know the one I'm talking about. You kind of can't believe it happened. It's so bad. And they immediately got nicknamed the Burger King uniforms and weren't used often, I don't think.
That is
they put Wayne Gretzky in one of those.
that alone.
Yeah, that's a high crime.
But that era of the alternate uniform in the NHL, that alone could have been a draft.
Yeah.
Worst
You're right,
NHL
yeah.
alternates.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
terrible, which could be a future down the road draft. Matt, what do you got?
Gosh, it's a toss-up here between a lack of a uniform but I guess that wouldn't be ugly. It's just a non-uniform. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go baseball here. I'm going to go with the 1999 Pirates, the big pirate face.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I forgot about that uniform.
You tried to.
Oh my God,
yeah.
I forgot about
and
that.
And it had
uniform.
red in it too, right? Like, didn't it? Some of them had, it had red. It was red.
Yeah.
Like, when were the Pirates red?
It was
hideous.
It would, yeah. I mean,
I'm looking it up. I can't remember.
It's so good.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
With the giant.
Yeah, the red.
Yeah, the Jolly Roger sort of. Yeah.
Wow, that's a terrible. Awful. I mean, oh God.
This is going to be tough for our guests to pick a winner from, Sandy.
I think I don't know if you guys are into this, but I think I would like to do a few honorable mentions.
Okay.
No.
Yeah,
no.
I don't mind that.
You were going to say who.
No,
your
I
pick
think
was.
that's great. I'm just getting over seeing that Pirates again.
Frank's trying to get us to wrap it up.
So okay.
Yeah. Good idea.
Okay.
Let's get out there with our guest right now, a fashion expert is going to judge our picks. Here we go.
Erica Wark is here, an internationally recognized celebrity stylist and television personality with appearances on Good Morning America, Access Hollywood, The Social, The Marilyn Dennis Show, E-Talk, and Your Morning, as well as a robust roster of celebrity and media talent. Erica is all about helping her clients find joy and confidence through their wardrobe. This is very true. I've worked with Erica in the past. She's fantastic. Check her out on social media at Erica on Fashion, or her fantastic hashtag #WarkIt. I love that.
I know. I told my husband, I was like, I can't change my last name when we get married. Sorry.
No.
It's baked in.
It's baked in.
Gotta keep that.
It is. Erica, we've shown you some choices. As a tribute, I wore an all-timer, which was the Astros, which is a questionable choice. And that one didn't make our list, I think, because some people do actually like that one. So there you go. It's subjective. We don't know. Some people will say, I like this jersey, I don't like that jersey. Uniforms. Some of us even chose curlers.
Yes.
So overall, when you're looking at those 9 choices, did any of them stick out to you as particularly good choices, or ones that you said, no, that shouldn't be on the list? It's a great uniform. What'd you think?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm a little insulted that the Raptors first season jersey is on there. I feel like that's iconic. No?
Well, we're going to give away who picked what. So I will. Do you want me to try to defend my
I think you should, Mike.
Yes. Get it.
I think it's iconic. It's iconic in the sense of we remember when it happened. But I think if you sort of look at it from a detached point of view, it's pretty. The jagged lines, the jagged pinstripes, that stupid mascot that they almost immediately got rid of. The color combo, I'm a big fan of the team. That uni had to go.
But I feel like, isn't there a resurgence in, these traditionally, let's call them ugly uniforms, being back and bigger than ever now?
Yes, that's because young people don't know better yet.
I guess it's true. Some of the 90s and early 2000 trends that are hitting now in fashion, especially for women, the low-rise jeans. What? Why are those back? No, burn them all. So I guess
and I think that Raptors jersey goes right with it's the low-rise jeans of NBA wear.
Someone was wearing a pair of low-rise jeans when that jersey first 100%. Came out.
Oh, yeah.
And their thong might have been showing over at the hip bones, Christina Aguilera moment.
Yeah, TLC rocked that.
No.
Well, it's back. I hate to tell you. So
that's
starting up eventually.
So that jumps out because also, Erica, you're a fan of the Raptors, right? Is that also
of course. But I also just feel I don't know. I kind of like it. I know it's ugly, but I don't know. There's a weird love for that.
I'm stepping off this call right now.
So that's interesting, though. None of us chose the Mighty Ducks Wild Wing that had the Mighty Duck kind of cartoon, one of their alternate jerseys. And I feel like that's kind of close to the Raptors. For me personally, it's a little too cartoony, so I'm a bit with Mike here in that I found it to be a little soft.
Possibly.
Yeah. Maybe a bit cheesy.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of cheesy, the Pirates face uniform. That is the ugliest uniform in the history of uniforms. They should actually just erase that photo even from Google. It needs to just be over forever. That's probably like, in my opinion, the worst one of all of them. Of the
Okay.
worst of the worst of the worst.
No,
Oh, good. Oh, good. I feel like a lot of
jersey.
people must have been saying when they saw that, like, right, but not that size, right? No. Like, and then it just came as a whole jersey. It's like, right, that's the thing, but it'll be not
It was
that.
a-
Yeah, like
it was a
let's
mistake at the
let's blow
printers.
it up.
Yeah.
But also, okay, what blows my mind is the approval process to get a logo like that approved and then put on players and printed, etc. Who are the people making the decisions? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and that probably has to go through several channels to get approved. Like, there was no one along the way who was like, wait a minute, maybe we should not do this. First of all, we're the Pirates, and most of it is red, and there is no red in the Pirates.
No.
Like,
The
ever.
Steelers.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh is all about, we have black and we have the yellow or / maybe gold, but black and yellow is a color. So that's the Steelers, that's the Penguins, that's the Pirates, and then they made them red for this uniform. So that is just ridiculous.
It's
so
very
stupid.
confusing. I just think maybe everyone was on vacation and, like, I don't know, it got slipped through the cracks.
Yes.
I mean, I've certainly ordered a shirt in the past and said, I want this printed on it, like for a birthday party or something. And they said, you'll say, we need 12 of these in blue. And they say, well, we've only got 6, but we have 12 in red. And you're just like, fine. So that could have been it. Maybe just the jersey itself.
Maybe
wasn't
they were real
available.
desperate.
Yeah.
Sure, you don't want it in black or like a yellow? Not red. If you got 12,
my
you've got
God.
enough for all the guys. Just make it red.
Yeah. Another one, I was actually showing my husband this list because he's a big sports guy, and he used to play Div 1 hockey in the States and also played pro for a couple of years. So of course, like, especially the hockey ones, he was all over. And the ones that he called out that were the worst for him was the Flyers look, the pants.
The Cooperalls. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cooperalls. He's like, what in God? Yeah. What is happening with these? These are the ugliest things I've ever seen. He went off. He was very passionate about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was
And I was like, okay, I got to call this out then.
Yeah, it was like a 2-year phenomenon in the 80s that happened. And a lot of kids bought those too for like a year or two, and then they were gone. Like, it was like it never happened. Like, we all kind of collectively smartened up at the same time. Like,
They
yeah, we
kind
don't
of
want
look like like the 90s like tearaway pants. That's what it reminds me
Yeah.
of. Like, I feel like he's gonna like rip them off and have like some, like, boxers under there or some briefs under there.
Or
I don't know.
Or like cheap tuxedo pants, like someone's getting married and you don't get sized or whatever. You just go pick, you just go grab them.
They felt like running it, or like, when you had snow pants on as a kid. So you go to recess and you'd play you play in the snow, you'd play soccer or football or something like that, and you ran extra slow. And then it was suddenly like, we're just going to take that feeling of wearing snow pants in the Canadian winter and put it on a professional hockey player who's supposed to be the fastest on earth.
Can you imagine what that must have been like trying to play with those things on?
Terrible.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, another one that I don't understand, the White Sox in the shorts.
Yes, there you go.
Can you imagine they would have had like 3rd-degree burns on their legs.
Yeah.
How do you play with shorts?
That was the first overall pick in our drafts. You knew that one was going to go quickly.
The worst idea, embarrassing for the players.
Yes.
Painful to slide. Made no sense. They went away very quickly.
Also, I wanted to point out
function.
that with those shorts too, the collared shirt also. It's like 2 terrible ideas at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it does not look like he's going to go play baseball. Let's just say that. It's like more like, are you going to play tennis? I don't know. Like, it's just not, it doesn't make any sense to me. A couple I like that you guys clearly didn't. I mean, dare I say, I didn't, again, we're going back to like how things are back in style. Didn't mind the Vancouver Canucks in the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
I'm kind of feeling the nostalgic vibes there. I'm not hating it.
Well,
what did your partner think? Does he like the hockey player? Does he like it?
He didn't really comment too much on that because he was so obsessed with how bad the Cooperall pants were. He like couldn't leave that. He was just hung on it forever.
Well, that Canucks color combo, the yellow I thought was bad. The black version of that is a little better. But then right after that, they added this circular Canucks logo with the hockey skate. And I thought that's a great logo. And they still wear that as their alternative now. But I don't like it with just the V. I was really against the V and the V on the pants. I clearly was the one who picked it, didn't enjoy it.
Not your vibe.
No.
You know what's great about it though is if you turned on the channel really quick, there was no like, oh, what team is playing? They're mostly red or they're mostly blue. It's like you knew who was playing, that the Canucks were playing.
Especially because in that era, they had no graphics, like barely had any graphics that would say the score in the corner. You always had to wait till the end of went to commercial or the end of the period to see like the names, the scores, and the time. You're right. So you had to rely on just pure visual of what the uniform was at that era to know exactly what was going on. Good point.
Okay, so another one that I really did not love, the Norwegians, man. Oof, those curling pants. That's a tough pant. That's a tough print in general. I mean, like, I don't think that print should be allowed anywhere at any time ever in the world.
Matt is obsessed with curling, so Matt is clearly our curling expert.
I mean, I think they're wearing them tongue in cheek, but I don't know if that makes it any better. They certainly experiment with different looks to the pants, sometimes checkered, sometimes but that swirl in particular was really that was doing weird things.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a brilliance in sort of creating this conversation around your uniform, because then, you know, listen, it gets more media coverage often, right? So you want to stand out. This is a great way to do it. I mean, I know like a lot of golfers have sort of taken that approach in the past, and some of them have definitely gone down as icons because of how they've dressed. I just feel like this was not the print to do. I mean, you can do it in a really fun way and have it be tongue in cheek for sure, but I feel like this doesn't translate. It looks like, especially I think because they like matched with the red shirt and the lines, and it just looked a little bit too purposeful, which then made it look like they were trying hard. So then it doesn't even look funny. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly very articulate. Yes.
My favorite part of this was in the draft. Matt took them in second pick. Matt, was that your second
round?
Pick?
Yeah.
And well, I don't even think Mike and I, for a million years, would have decided we were going to pick a curling team, and yet Matt still decided he had to get them early in the draft and didn't want to wait till third.
He's like, I'm not going to waste this pick.
No, I got
these guys are going to grab that pick.
Take this while I can.
I mean, I did think about some of the Olympic different countries stuff, but I was like, that seems more like the spirit of fun and cooperation. Let's not go after that. But certainly this was, I mean, they did probably wear them in the Olympics, but also in international competitions. I felt like it was fair game.
Right,
and
for
so,
sure.
There's a couple others out there. There was the football one, actually. I think it was the only football, was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thoughts on that uniform?
So again, like, it's not that bad. I don't know if it's like the worst. Oh, wow. Okay. Mike is just not feeling me. He's completely disagreeing. Clearly this was his choice.
This is nothing short of an outrage. And clearly this is fixed.
Okay, wait. Okay. Tell me.
No. I always felt like, though, it was the only football one. I feel like it'd be tough to play football looking like a creamsicle. That was my rationale. If it was a different sport, I thought, okay, like that, but it's not a coincidence. The Buccaneers, that was that year, like they started like 76. They were terrible for 20 years. And only when they changed their colors did they ever win anything. And I don't think that's a coincidence. That's all I'll say.
That is a great rebuttal. But can I also say,
yes,
I feel like, so the brightness and whatever, creamsicle, sure, I totally get that. But I mean, the Miami Dolphins, they have really bright, borderline tacky colors.
Indeed.
And people seem to love their jerseys. So I don't know.
I think the difference is the Dolphins were good right away. Wearing those jerseys, and Tampa wasn't. Maybe that's part of it too. But I know your point's well made. Florida, you want to have, the light colors on.
Yep.
You don't want to be
For
wearing a lot of
sure.
black and brown. Yeah, true.
This is unusual for you, Mike. You don't usually get railed for your fashion choices. You're right on point.
No, I should get used to this. It's happening a lot.
I do think that if Tampa had won like 3 championships in those uniforms, we'd be looking at them differently. Like maybe
I think you're right.
Kind of funky or cool or something, you know, but yeah,
that was not the case.
So you have a couple out there still. There was the Jazz basketball uniform, and then a LA Kings that we sent you a photo with Gretzky wearing.
Yes.
That uniform. Yeah.
Yes. So Utah Jazz, I feel like it's similar to kind of what we were talking about with the Dolphins. Like I feel like it's a bit 80s throwback. It's those sort of bright electric colors. It reminds me of like Saved by the Bell, like that kind of like era.
Bayside.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, is it the best out there? Absolutely not. But is it the worst? I don't think it's the worst.
It just looked cheap. For whatever reason, I always thought that uniform looked cheap. There was a lot of good players wearing a really bad uniform, and I was like, and I felt like it was like, God, what's Utah known for? Well, first of all, the Utah Jazz, which is the weirdest name for a team from Utah, but they were
so weird.
They were originally in New Orleans, so they were the Jazz in New Orleans. When they moved,
that makes sense.
There you go. And then they're like, okay, what else are we known for? Mormons. No, can't be Mormons. No. Mountains. Great. Put them on there.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't think
you're right. It was like a half-assed decision.
Yes.
But originally being from New Orleans, even the colors make sense to me then there.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like Utah, that makes no sense to me. You would think more like earth tones or whatever, right?
Yes.
So I see where you're going with that, and I appreciate all of the thought that went into that decision.
It's still wrong.
Yeah, thank you. However, you will be paying a fine. So then the Kings, the last one is we sent you that picture, what they call the Burger King logo Kings uniform. What do you think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, the logo's pretty large, but also like weirdly to the side of the jersey. It's a very strange choice for me. But I also don't really know the background of like why this was decided to be called the Burger King look. Is it literally just because it looks like
the Burger King is on his shoulder there? Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's certainly not the worst.
No.
Like I feel like, and do you want me to like get into what I think about other teams right now?
Yes. Please.
So the reason I bring this up is because this is all in the realm of the NHL. Like, if we're gonna like chirp that jersey, I feel like we should also chirp the helmets that are happening, the Golden Knights, for example.
Yeah, the shiny gold. Yeah.
Oh,
the shiny gold, and then the Kings too with the silver.
Yeah.
Like the chrome.
Metallic,
I'm not a fan of those.
That's a great point.
So I feel like that's, to me, I think as bad or worse than this LA Kings Burger King look. I don't know. Is that am I going to get blacklisted from?
No, that's fair. That's fair. I hadn't thought about the helmets. I hadn't even thought about just putting the helmets in there, but you're right. That Golden Knights helmet is really bad. That's really horrible. And so speaking of that, so bringing ideas we hadn't thought of, do you have jerseys you found or would suggest jersey wise that we missed it? We should have. These are bad ones too.
So I feel like the Montreal Canadiens had a bad jersey moment. They called it the ugly sweater party. Like that's how bad it was. I'm trying to remember what year that was.
And that's the striped look, right?
I think it was the early 2000s.
Is that the candy cane thing?
Yeah, it was the white, blue, and red stripe, but it was like they did it head to toe everywhere.
Yeah, the socks and the jerseys.
The socks and the jersey. I don't really know what. I feel like that's bad. That's a real bad one, and I think that is worse than some of the ones on this list. No.
Right. You can be confident in that choice. That's a horrible one.
Yeah. It's a sliding scale, but yes.
That's definitely on the list. Well, that's great because we want to make sure we're going to post your choices as well. So we'll find some of those helmets and we'll get this Canadiens jersey as well, which deserves it.
I mean, it's hard to mix things up so I can appreciate that they're just trying to come up with creative ways to make uniforms feel fresh and new and exciting again. So I get the chrome, I get the gold, but for me, it was a big miss. I think it also, when you're watching the game, it's so incredibly, at least on TV, it's really distracting because they're so shiny. It's like beacons all over the white ice. So I just find it's for me, it's a miss.
That's a good one. And Matt, similarly, Matt pointed out that there was a point in time when the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're talking about the black and the yellow, they wore what they called the Bumblebee uniform as a throwback to one of their old ones. That was a terrible choice. And on TV, it was so jarring to see that.
So jarring. Yeah. I feel like I was going to have a seizure watching it. It was not the vibe.
No. So overall, we got 3 teams of drafts. Obviously, Mike's failed already, but so the other, there's a couple of contention. Which of these teams of 3 would you like to select as the winning choice?
Okay, so I think
bullshit.
Team 2. I think team 2 is the winner for the worst uniforms.
3 and 2. Is that what you said?
Team 2.
Team
was
2
was the winner for the ugliest uniforms.
Oh, geez, guys, whose team was that?
That's Kippen.
I think that's me. Sandy, do you want to just summarize what each were? I think mine was.
Yes. Oh, sorry. It was the Cooperall pants.
Yeah.
Terrible. It was the Pirates face uniform, which basically won you the game, in my opinion. So that was the worst. And then it was the Norwegian curling pants.
Yeah. Matt did well to go out there and scoop the curlers.
Yeah.
In the second round.
I focused on pants with both the Flyers and the curlers. I went on the draft.
Yeah.
It paid off for you.
Matt did well. I think Matt's focus on this particular draft, I think he really wanted to win this one the most. What do you think, Mike?
I think his research was more thorough given the Norwegian curling team pick.
Yes. He really spent some time on this one.
Honestly, I just kind of went off the top of my head, but yeah.
There were some deep dives.
I'm begrudged to say this, but I do admit that Pirates face jersey I'd forgotten about, and I have to give Matt credit for digging that one up because it was truly bad. And so I'm sad to say that I agree with you, Erica, that Matt should win this draft. How do you have to say?
Well, that's very gracious.
Yes. Erica, you've been an absolute delight. Thank you for joining us. You, of course, know much more about fashion than the 3 of us will ever hope to know. And we hope you come back. We'll do it again, and maybe it's just like the all helmet edition because we could dig into.
Oh my god! Clearly, I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, we'll do like helmets and hats or something. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so great. So please come back.
Too.
Yeah.
I would love to come back. This was so much fun.
It's been great. Erica. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was pretty rough, but Norwegian pants over there did okay. I meant to tell you just before we wrap up the show that I just had the rockets. I know you're talking about. You want to get quick honorable mentions. 95 2000 rockets had the actual rocket ship flying out of a cloud. What was the other one, Matt?
I was wondering about the non-uniform being the not the Mighty Ducks. The cartoon duck.
Yeah,
the Wild Wing jersey.
Those were good ones.
That was not.
There's also do yourselves a favor and look up the AAA Memphis Redbirds. In 2012, I think it was. Yes, 2014. They did a tribute to Memphis, like Memphis in Egypt.
Yeah.
Uniform. You kind of can't. You can't believe it's real. It's pretty awesome.
All of the. And speaking of, you can't believe it's real. We did it March 15th. We tribute this day in sports, March 15th. Thank you so much for listening. We love our listeners. I'm Sandy Jobin Bevins.
I'm Matt Kippen.
I'm Mike Shera.
And we'll see you next week in sports. I think we're gonna do next week. Let's do next week. Why not? March 22nd. What do you say, guys? Silence.
Yes.
See you then.